A young tribal boy wakes one morning and sets out to complete his daily hunt to feed his tribe and family. Returning to his family, his tribe, they gather around the campfire as the meal cooks. The boy is unremarkable, his life is unremarkable, his tribe are unremarkable, uncivilized descendants of a once civilized people. Each day passes the same, until this day. Gathered around the fire, a rumbling is heard, distant but not far enough for comfort. The tribe scan the horizon, but the sight they see is not a familiar one. Men beyond number, more than the tribe had ever seen draped in crimson, march their way into their camp. The tribe grasp their spears, launching them at the approaching marauders, but to little effect. They're hunters, not warriors. The strange men fall on the boy's people, laying waste to them with fury and weapons unknown to the naive victims. The boy stands with his tribe, but he's quickly subdued by one of the marauders, a man with his face covered, who pulls the boy away from the carnage. And as he looks over his captor's shoulders, the place he had called home becomes engulfed in flames. But it's his home no longer, and he is a boy no longer. From this day until his last, he's now a soldier in Caesar's legion. This fate is one shared by many who made their homes within the post-war regions once known as Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. Under the command of Caesar, the legion has been built on conquest and enslavement of tribal societies. Its slaves are reconditioned to follow the teaching of Caesar, based on ancient Rome. In order to build unity and strength in a chaotic world, the unique tribal identities need to be burnt away and reforged into something greater. And yet ironically, it was the interest into researching these tribes that spelt their doom, when Caesar, then known as Edward Sallow, was sent by the followers of the apocalypse to research them. So let's pick up where he left off and take a look into the known tribes that make up Caesar's legion. The Blackfoot were the first tribe to join the legion, and indeed served as the blueprint for the legion itself. In 2247, two followers of the apocalypse, Edward Sallow and Bill Calhoun, and a Mormon missionary by the name of Joshua Graham, ventured into the Grand Canyon to meet and study some of the native tribes of the region. The first tribe encountered were the Blackfoots, who from all accounts embraced the Outlanders warmly at first. However, relations quickly soured for an unknown reason, with Joshua himself pondering if it was due to a mistranslation in communication. The three outsiders soon found themselves no longer to be guests, but captives of the Blackfoot. At the time, the Blackfoot were at war with 7 other tribes in the region, and although the wars were relatively low-scale skirmishes, the small size and ignorance of the Blackfoots meant that it would not be long before they were conquered outright, with their 3 captives taken with them. Edward was unwilling to go along with this fate if he could help it. As such, he began to use his extensive knowledge gained from the Followers' University to train the Blackfoots in the art of warfare. In his words, he taught them how to use the weapons they already had, but were too backwards to use properly. He taught them how to clean and maintain their guns, how to breathe when pulling the trigger, how to reload ammunition properly, and how to aim and maintain their sights. Given their response to this new information, which was basically as if he'd invented fire, he chose to teach them more. He then taught them how to make explosives, operate with small unit tactics, and how to use strategy to conquer an enemy entirely. Interestingly, before the Blackfoot, the Legion never existed technically. The Blackfoot tribe itself was essentially remodeled by Caesar to form the prototype that would become the Legion. And although the Legion denounces former tribal loyalties, having Blackfoot ancestry seems to hold some form of reverence in the rank-and-file troops. Canyon Runner, a Legion slaver, proudly announces that he has Blackfoot ancestors and is related to the first tribe Caesar led and formed the Legion with. The next tribe that faced the wrath of the Legion were not given the mercy of joining it, but instead were destroyed, essentially as a lesson. The Ridges were the weakest of the 7 Grand Canyon tribes locked in conflict with the Blackfoot, and as such, Caesar identified them as the perfect targets to utilize the new tactics taught to the Blackfoot tribe. When surrounded, the Ridges were offered the chance to surrender, an offer of which they shut down, and in retaliation, Caesar ordered every man, woman, and child of the tribe to be killed, with the camp razed and their bodies piled high upon one another. The brutality served a purpose, however. The next tribe that faced the wrath of the Legion were the Kaibabs, and once again, when surrounded, they were given the offer to surrender, which was then refused. In contrast, however, Caesar requested them to provide an emissary, one who he took to the previous camp of the Ridges tribe. There, the envoy witnessed the mutilated, sun-dried corpses of every single person from the tribe, from the oldest woman to the youngest child. Shocked and appalled by what they'd seen, the Kaibab envoy returned to their camp and convinced their chief to submit to the Legion's will. And with that, two tribes had now become one. The next tribe to be assimilated were the Fredonians. A similar approach was undertaken with the Kaibabs. They were made to witness the destruction of the ridges and came to understand the only way to survive was by joining the legion. Caesar claims that this idea of total war was new to the tribes. In the past, they had played at war, with a little pillaging and wife kidnapping here and there. The idea that they could be completely destroyed by another was a new and terrifying concept to them, one which they were more than happy to avoid by allowing themselves to be subjugated. One could say though that although they kept their lives, the tribes themselves were destroyed in another way. Their rich culture was scattered to the winds, family units broken up as women were given as prizes to officers, children taken for training, and the men pressed into military service. In the aftermath of the conquest of the 7 Grand Canyon tribes, the Legion as we know it formally came into being. I do note I used the Legion before, but this was more so to distinguish between the forces of Edward against the tribes. Modelling his society after the Roman Empire, Edward Selly crowned himself as Caesar and the reconditioned tribals as his legion, the goal being to create a new empire, with the strength and unity to survive and conquer the waste. While his follower of the Apocalypse companion was sent back east, basically to tell them not to mess with him, the Mormon missionary Joshua Graham decided to join as his second-in-command, now known as the Malpais Legate. From 2247 onwards, Caesar's legion headed into Arizona seeking further tribes to add to his growing coalition. By 2281, Caesar states that Arizona is entirely under his control. However, it does appear to be the case that while some Arizonan tribes fell quickly, there were some others that resisted legion rule for quite some time. Tribesmen of the former Painted Rock tribe are stated by Chief Hanlon to be the legion's old-timers. Their status as veterans of multiple campaigns in their Red Okie Courier is known by NCR intelligence forces and reported as a sign that Caesar is bringing his best and longest-serving former tribals to the Second Battle of Hoover Dam. Their status means that they were imaginably assimilated in the recent years after 2247. Lucius, the head of the Praetorian Guard, states that the legion conquered his tribe when he was only a boy. Although he does not give the location, Lucius is touching 40, and the legion has only existed for 34 years, so his tribe no doubt would have been one of the first tribes conquered in Arizona. Ulysses, a legion frumentari, was formerly a member of the Twisted Hares tribe. Known to be a powerful tribe at the time, the Twisted Hares held dominion over lands in Arizona, reaching nearly all the way to the Nevada border with their encampment at Dry Wells. The Twisted Hares had a rich history of tradition and an ingrained sense of shared culture amongst their tribal people. As their name suggests, the Twisted Hair tribe would shape their hair into dreadlocks and braids, utilizing their hair to identify who they were or what they had done. For example, by looking upon an individual, another tribesman would be able to know if they were married, what their role was within the tribe, and how many combatants they'd killed. The Twisted Hares formed an alliance with the newborn legion in 2248 as the latter marched into Arizona. Being unfamiliar with the new territory, the legion used the Twisted Hares to act as scouts to locate and trap the tribes inhabiting the region. It's unknown what exactly was promised to the Twisted Hares for their service, however, it was imaginedly dominion over more lands of Arizona, as Ulysses stated that they were originally approached as equals, and unfortunately, this was proven not to be true. Once the tribes of Arizona had been subjugated, Caesar turned his attention to the Twisted Hares. The tribe were brought to their encampment at Dry Wells, ostensibly to celebrate their victory. Instead, they came to realize their promise of reward from Vulpes was a lie. Their reward for service was instead to be conquered and enslaved alongside the other tribes of the region. Many evidently rose up against the invaders, however their efforts were ultimately in vain. The long roads of the Interstate 40 were said to be lined with the crucified remnants of the Twisted Hares tribe, their rich history crucified along with them or forcibly forgotten by the newly assimilated living tribesmen. However, at least one tribe seems to have been subjugated by the Legion well past this date, that being the Hidebarks. The Hidebark tribe were the 67th to be conquered by the Legion, as Caesar states that he led 68 tribes into the First Battle of Hoover Dam in 2277. The current legate Linnaeus was also a conquered member of the Hidebark tribes who the former legate Joshua Graham stated he did not know, which seems to suggest that they were taken over in the years leading up to 2277. Regardless, the Hidebarks were a major thorn in the side for the Legion. Linnaeus, at the time the Hidebarks' greatest warrior, would ambush Legion patrols by himself, butchering their men and leaving their corpses for their companions to find. After months of combat, the Legion managed to locate and surround the Hidebarks' camp and offered them the same terms made to all other tribes. render unto Kaiser, or die. The Hidebark chieftain sought to spare his people and raised a white banner in surrender. Upon sighting the white flag in the sky, the warrior who would become Linnaeus went mad, striking down his chieftain for his weakness, along with 15 of his fellow tribesmen, before being subdued by them. The Hidebarks were incorporated into the Legion, with Linnaeus himself rising to the station of legate after the fall of Joshua Graham. However, the tribe suffered less intact than many others. As part of his agreement to fight for the Legion, Linnaeus asked to be allowed to murder the remaining adult males left in the tribe, as Caesar wished to spare the children to be moulded into future legionaries. Caesar states that all of Arizona and New Mexico fall under his banner, while much of the Utah and Colorado are under Legion control. However, Utah in particular appears to be a land of warring tribes and factions, as although the Legion evidently entered the region decades ago, it's still yet to be completely pacified. Caesar states that the head of his frumentari Vulpes was founded in an unremarkable tribe in Utah. A Decanus by the name of Dead Sea also states that he was plucked as a baby from the Great Salt Lake, indicating the Legion had control over Salt Lake City at least 20 years earlier, since Dead Sea is a full-grown man. However, Jed Masterson claims that Arizona is far safer than Utah, as regional warlords and hostile tribals still roam the land, pillaging and killing. Caesar also states in 2281 that Linnaeus had only just been returning from campaigns in the wilds of Utah, which indicates that the Legion's harsh justice has yet to pacify the entire region. An affiliate tribe from Utah that seeks to be integrated into the Legion is that of the Whitelegs. The Whitelegs are unique in the fact that they are one of the only tribes in the known world who actually want to be assimilated by the Legion. The irony is that the Legion does not wish to take them. Forming out of the post-war survivors of the Great War located in Salt Lake City, the Whitelegs have survived for nearly 200 years. However, in all that time, they never developed the skills needed for basic hunting, cooking, gathering, or animal husbandry. Instead, they are masters in raiding and scavenging, taking tribute, food, and slaves by force from their fellow tribesmen in Utah, New Canaan, and from other more civilized wasteland settlements. The Whitelegs stand out for their white war paint covering their body, which is used as camouflage when raiding near the Great Salt Lake. A more recent feature to the tribe is their dreadlocks, which, unbeknownst to them, is inherited from the Twisted Hairs tribe. So Ulysses approached the Whitelegs after the First Battle of Hoover Dam, with an offer to join the Legion if they were to destroy the settlement of New Canaan, and in honour of all that he had taught them, the Whitelegs emulated Ulysses' hairstyle to gain favour with he and the Legion itself. However, Ulysses saw it as a gross insult, claiming that it was like looking at the ghosts of his murdered tribe staring back at him, and this contributed to his disillusion with the Legion, as he realised he was selling the same lie sold to him when his tribe was taken. The Whitelegs had no idea that their women warriors would not be permitted to fight in his army, their family units would be destroyed, and Caesar held no regard for their ranged submachine guns that they prided themselves on using. The Legion had no intention of assimilating the Whitelegs, judging them to be far too primitive to learn Latin or adhere to the martial rigour of the Legion. The only purpose they served was to destroy New Canaan and, most importantly, Joshua Graham. As stated by lead developer Joshua Sawyer, even if Graham is killed, the Whitelegs still aren't accepted into the Legion. Caesar just wanted Graham dead, and the Whitelegs were the scumbags to do it. In 2277, the Legion fought the NCR in the First Battle of Hoover Dam. However, as we all know, they were soundly defeated, leading to Joshua Graham being replaced by Linnaeus and the Legion returning to their eastern campaigns to conquer more tribes. And although we know that Linnaeus was in the wilds of Utah prior to arriving in the Mojave Wasteland, the other tribes of the Legion we know of were all conquered in the Legion's post-2277 campaigns in Arizona. One notable tribe that was not even assimilated into the Legion is that of the Twin Mothers. Located in Arizona, the Twin Mothers were a tribe that were ruthlessly hunted down and exterminated by the Legion. Interestingly, the tribe had quite an extensive history in the cancelled Fallout game Van Buren. Essentially, a woman named Diana managed to gain control of a Vault Zack supercomputer and guide the upbringing of the Vault's children in a nature goddess-based religion. However, none of this is canon, so it's basically not even worth mentioning. The Twin Mothers tribe were one that espoused the importance of learning lessons and healing and growing from the setbacks of the wasteland. For example, the tribe created a medicine that came to be known as bitter drink. Made from xanderroot and brock flowers, the beverage was a form of morphine that could cure a wound but left behind the bitterness of the wound that caused it. Given their name and seemingly pacifist nature, the Twin Mothers tribe held an affinity for peace, healing, and femininity, something that Caesar could not abide. The tribe no doubt would have had men and boys within it, but it seems instead that the group was destroyed entirely, rather than having their peace-loving ideals infecting his legionaries. Their medicine, bitter drink, was appropriated by the legion as its primary form of medicine alongside healing power, and is stated by Ulysses to be used to keep heavily wounded legionaries in the fight. The Hangdogs were a tribe centered on the belief that dogs were their spirit animals, due to co-inhabiting the ruins of the city of Denver with them. Denver itself is known as Dog City, as packs of wild and vicious animals roam its streets, ruling it as its new masters. The human population of Denver lived in the high-rise buildings of the former city, with walkways built from roof to roof to keep them safe from the ravenous mutts. But not so for the Hangdogs tribe. Dogs helped the tribe survive, being companions, hunting partners, and occasionally food in trying times. As such, they were held in incredibly high regard by the group and deified as their spirit animals. However, this belief was ultimately used against them. When the legion came, the Hangdogs resisted them, firing upon them with weapons and setting upon them with their hounds. Linnaeus in a private moment even admits that the legion was nearly beaten in Denver, although less so because of the threat of the Hangdog tribe and more due to the lack of other tribes to recruit from or supplies in the area. Given their dire situation, Linnaeus decided to break the stalemate quickly and decisively. The legion were ordered to capture dogs rather than to kill them, and created an enormous bonfire in full view of the Hangdog tribe. The captured canines were then thrown into the fires, burning alive in anguish. The tribe's elders made a decision to capitulate, as they could not bear the thought of their spirit animals burning forever in the afterlife, and gave in to the legion. Although it's hard to define it as a happy ending, the Hangdog tribe had a better one than most, as they were allowed to hold on to a form of their culture. Caesar recognised the importance of having war dogs within his army, and so the Hangdogs were recruited as houndmasters in the legion's army, caring for and breeding their canines much the same as they always had. Another tribe located in the area also had an affinity for canines, and were known as the Sundog tribe. Decanus Dead Sea claims that his centurion gifted him with a custom machete after he had pacified the tribes years earlier. However, we actually have no more information on the group beyond this. And finally, although Caesar is referred to as the conqueror of 86 tribes, it appears that even his records are not up to date. In the culmination of the Lonesome Road DLC, the Courier is able to cross paths with a high-ranking centurion by the name of Gaius Magnus. Magnus had been bestowed with a unique set of armour known as the Armour of the 87th Tribe, ostensibly given to him after conquering the 87th Tribe. Nothing is known of this latest tribe to enter the Legion's ranks, only that they are the latest among a rich and sadly vibrant history of tribals that had their culture, family, and identity ripped away from them. The Legion marches onwards to its victory or defeat in the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, and if victorious, the scourge of tribal annihilation will continue as the Legion enters the West. If they are defeated, it's imagined that the Legion, the once great tribe, will fall to pieces as each of the former tribals seek to regain their previous identities, or forge new ones out of the ruins of Caesar's empire. As Joshua Graham states, he can only hope that the tribes don't suffer further as the Legion falls apart around them.